Hey folks, welcome. This is Gently Chaotic Knits and my name is Emily and it's been a while, and if you're new here, this is mostly a knitting video podcast, and if you are not new here, then it may feel like you're new here because it's been so long since I've hopped on and chatted with y'all. I guess that's not completely true. I don't even remember when my last video went up. It feels like it's been more than a month, but I did record a video at one point in there and then I just wasn't feeling it, and so I didn't end up posting it, and I'm fine with that. But I'm back. Hopefully this one makes it to the internet. Hopefully there are people watching this right now. But yes, my name is Emily. I live in Seattle, Washington with my husband Ovis and our pup Norman, who I will just give y'all the Norman update. He is very predictably underneath his blanket in his bed. So who knows if he will make an appearance and come join us today. It is cold and sunny in Seattle today. I was not expecting it to be sunny. The last little bit has been pretty rainy. I feel like I remember vaguely in my last episode going on somewhat of a rant about the weather in Seattle and about how I felt like everywhere else in the US it was becoming spring and it was not happening in Seattle, and I do feel like the weather did listen to me at least somewhat, because we have had lots of like mini false spring days, I guess is what you might call it. We have had some sun at times. We've had some warmer, and by warmer I'm talking about it's been sometimes in the 50s Fahrenheit, like maybe barely touching the low 60s, but for the most part it still has been pretty cold and rainy. So, but I am enjoying. We've got good light today, a good day to record a podcast episode. I honestly don't remember a ton of where I left off. I could have looked at that, and I do have some notes here. So honestly, I've been really focused on just a couple of projects for the last month or so. So I don't have a ton to share. I know y'all maybe would have thought, okay, Emily hasn't recorded in forever, so when she comes back, it's gonna be just an embarrassment of riches. And I would not say that that is the case. I think I've done a lot of work on just a couple of projects. We also have had visitors, so my parents came and visited us for a while. My grandparents came and visited, and I don't know, there's always something going on. I feel like I always am in my head oh, this little stretch or this week is gonna be particularly busy because of XYZ or whatever. And I think that the reality is, just being an adult human, is there's always something happening. There's always stuff going on. And so there has been stuff going on because that's the way that it is. So anyway, I'm excited to share with y'all what I have been up to, what I have been working on, and I feel like I'm right on the cusp of finishing some things, and then I'm excited to start casting on new stuff and start working on new stuff. But some of the stuff, I guess most of the stuff will probably be new because I haven't shared anything and I haven't posted a video in so long. So I will start. I'm going to try to remember to start with what I'm wearing today. Actually, this is kind of a throwback to my very first ever episode. If you have not watched my first episode, that's fine, and I would not expect you to. But my first episode of the podcast that I posted in September of 2020, I wore these overalls and I wore this long sleeve black and white striped shirt, and I'm wearing that today. It's a little bit too chilly to wear just that, so I also have my dad's sweater. This is a pattern by me that if you watch this podcast, you're probably so far beyond tired of hearing me talk about. But that is what I'm wearing today, and I wear it a lot of days because I really, really love it. And it is my pattern. I wrote and published this pattern. You can find it on my Ravelry and on my website and all that stuff. But I knit mine in La Aimée, Corrie worsted. This is the colorway French Gray. And it is my favorite, just easy throw on pullover, and I love it. and I'm gonna keep knitting them for everyone in my family, and we'll talk about that a little more later. So let's get into it. What do I have to share with you? I'm gonna take a sip of water because I'm not gonna let myself get too dry in the throat mouth area. What have I been working on? So first, finished objects. When I recorded a video just like a couple of weeks ago that I didn't end up posting, I made notes for that, and I'm basically just going off of those notes for today. And one thing that actually changed a little bit is that I had a finished object then that is kind of no longer a finished object, and I'll show it to you and then y'all will know what I mean. But basically, I finished this tea design, and then since then have done the test call, and I have testers and they are working on the pattern. And because of some of their feedback, I decided to make a change to the sleeves. And so I ripped out the sleeves, and so it's kind of not a finished object anymore. But I will still show it to you in this finished object section. This kind of is the Color Tip Tee, which is a pattern again by me. It is a really similar construction to the dad sweater, which is the sweater I am wearing right now. But it is in fingering weight yarn, and so it is knit at a tighter gauge, and it is short sleeved. And there are a couple of other design elements that are different. So the armholes are not nearly as deep as they are in this one. You can see this is like a really deep, generous armhole, but that's not as fun on a t-shirt. So we did a more standard armhole depth for the t-shirt. And then the sleeve, actually this is the finish, well, I won't say finish, we're still in testing, but this is the most recent version of the sleeve. The other one was a little bit larger, and I rewrote for like a slimmer version of the sleeve, which I think fits the pattern and aesthetic and everything really well. Anyway, the point is, it is a slimmer sleeve as well. It's a short sleeve. All of the edgings I did for my sample in contrast colors, but of course you can always do it all in the main color or in one contrast color or whatever you want. Another difference between this and the dad sweater is that all the edgings are half twisted ribbing, whereas for the dad sweater it's just your standard 1x1 rib. But we thought on a tee that would give it a really nice finished look. And it also has a really fun patch pocket on the front as well. So this is what I'm calling the Color Tip Tee. And it was an absolute joy to knit. I am already thinking about knitting more. I know, I feel like I say that all the time, and people say that all the time, and like a lot of times they don't actually knit more. So that is just to say that I really enjoyed knitting it and would not be opposed to having more, and I do think I will knit another one of it. I knit this sample using Purl Soho Linen Quill, which is a fingering weight yarn, and it is a blend of Highland wool, alpaca, and linen. So a really great, I mean, there's not a ton of linen in it. It's mostly wool and alpaca. So it's hard to say like, oh, it's a great summer fiber. I do think that it is a nice lightweight yarn to use for like a t-shirt or for summer garments. But to be completely honest with you all, I wear wool in the summer as well. So, but also wool is kind of remarkable. Wool is perfect for, I feel like, any weather. Well, I'm a big wool fan. I think wool is great in warmer climates or like warmer weather as well, just because it's not too stuffy, I feel like. It like breathes pretty well. And yeah, this blend of alpaca, wool, linen is a really great, I think personally, a really great kind of t-shirt yarn. So that's what I knit my sample in, but I have testers knitting in a variety of yarns. Some are also doing it in the linen quill, but I have some doing just in 100% wool. I have some folks doing cotton. silk, all kinds of different fiber blends. So we can see how those turn out as well. What else do I want to say about this? I graded this pattern for 9 sizes, and this is the second size. If I make another one, I may make the first size for something that's a little bit closer fitting. As soon as I finish knitting this second sleeve, I promise I will wear it on the podcast, and I will show you all what it looks like on a body. I have way too many layers on right now to take them off and put this on, because that would be too much of an inconvenience, to be honest with you. And it doesn't even have a sleeve, so you wouldn't get the full effect anyway. So I will knit the second sleeve, and then I will definitely wear it on the podcast and show you all. But I'm trying to think about what else to say about it. Oh, needle size for this one. I had tons of issues with my gauge, and I think if I remember where I left off on my previous episode, I was having a bunch of issues where I knit my swatch, and then I started knitting the project and I got a different gauge, and then I ended up like trying another needle size and that didn't work, and so then I ripped it out and I tried another needle size. Anyway, it just was kind of a mess, and then I ended up actually having more problems, because part of the reason that I needed to rewrite my sleeve is because my sleeves I knit at a much tighter gauge for a reason I don't understand. I was using magic loop for the sleeves, which I normally don't do, but my magic loop gauge is normally the same as my normal knitting gauge because I'm using the same kind of needles. And anyway, it doesn't matter, but I had a ton of gauge issues with this. I ended up knitting it on a US 2.5 needle. I did end up knitting this sleeve on a US 3, just so that I could get the gauge to match a little better, because I was having trouble getting the same gauge on the sleeves. So, but I am recommending for my testers to use a 3. I am learning more and more that I am somewhat of a loose knitter. So what works for me on a US 2.5 probably would not work for someone else. So I am recommending a US 3, and I think most of my testers have been able to get gauge on a 3. I have actually had some testers get gauge on a 4 as well. Not that this really may mean anything to y'all, but the gauge for the pattern is 24 stitches per 4 inches with a fingering weight yarn. So yeah, that is the color tip tee. I love it. I took some really fun pictures of it that I shared, I guess just one of, on Instagram. So you can check out my Instagram if you want, or maybe I'll try to put a picture up here if I remember, so that y'all can see it on my body. But a note there that is the old sleeve. So yeah, that is my only kind of finished object. And then I have some works in progress to share with you all. I guess I have a finished spinning object. I'm not really sure. I'm not in a good rhythm with the spinning stuff yet. I don't know where exactly it makes sense to put all the spinning stuff, but I think I'm gonna save it and just do all the spinning stuff at the end. So then if you're interested only in the knitting stuff, you can just watch the knitting stuff. And then I'm just gonna do a whole separate spinning section after I'm done with the knitting stuff, I think. So yeah, let's just go into knitting works in progress. I have several, and a warning for you all that they are all blue. I'm in my blue period. I'm in my blue phase right now. I guess it's likely to last my whole life because I really do love blue. But I have a couple of works in progress, and this one I don't know if you can really consider to even be a work in progress because I have not worked on it in weeks. I cast this on a while ago. This is the Cheslie Toque. Toque. Literally, why can I not figure this out? I know I don't. I'm gonna look up how to say it because I know I'm saying I said it both ways. So one of those was definitely right and one of them was definitely wrong, and I can't. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because my phone is giving me updates on the Mariners game as well. Oh no, the Marlins game. Okay. I'm gonna play this for the cameras that you can all hear it as well. Here we go. Ready?
Toque. Toque.
Toque. Cheslie, Toque. This will not, like, for some reason, I cannot commit it to memory. I can't. Okay. Ooh, I feel like we have quite an energy today, and we're just rolling with it. We're doing our best. So I literally just listened to it and I can't remember what I said. Toque. Toque. Okay. I am knitting the Cheslie Toque by, I wrote that it was by Tori, but is that true? That's the person who wrote the Manhattan hat. I feel like that's not true. Y'all, I did not mean to be this chaotic today. I really didn't. Okay, I'm looking it up right now. I'm sorry, I know this is annoying. No, I don't have it in my projects because that would be too easy. Toque. I'm gonna just keep saying that in my head. Okay, no, it's not by Tori. I knew that it wasn't. That was the Manhattan hat. This is by Kiyomi Burgin. And here's a picture. Actually, why don't I just show it to you on my phone and hold it up to the camera, because that's what we're doing today. This is what it looks like. Oh! I feel like I need to just take a deep breath. This is what happens when I don't record in a really long time. I don't know if I just have too much energy today. I don't know what's going on. But I am knitting the Cheslie Toque by, I already lost it, Kiyomi Burgin. It's so cute. It's so cute. It uses one skein of worsted weight yarn held with a strand of lace weight, like mohair silk or alpaca silk or whatever. One of the fluffy lace weights held with a worsted weight yarn. The original pattern, like the pattern originally used Ritual Dyes Elder, which is a 100% Rambouillet wool. And we started carrying that at La Mercerie, and the colors are so beautiful and the yarn feels so good that I wanted to use that as well for mine. And then I actually had some leftover, this is some leftover alpaca silk that I used for a sweater I knit a couple years ago, and I thought the colors matched really well. So I'll give y'all a close-up of that. I love this new camera and I love how quickly it focuses, and I just had to say that. But yeah, this is beautiful. They're beautiful together. And then I did cast on, and sorry, my stuff is getting tangled down here. And you just do 1x1 ribbing for like 4 inches, and I've done, I don't know, what does that look like? 2.5 inches of 1x1 ribbing, and that's it. That's all I've done. I really want to knit this, but I have other stuff I need to work on. But I have not even finished the ribbing. And then you get into like a lace chart. I know lots of folks who have knit this hat, and all of them have really loved it, both knitting it and the finished product. So I really want to have this hat. The thing is that it seems like it's gonna be a really, really warm hat, and I'm not sure. I think we may be past the like super cold weather here in Seattle, so I don't know how much use I would get out of it this year. So that's why I feel like I'm kind of not in a huge rush to finish it, but I definitely do want to have it finished for like next winter. But I don't know. I don't like to leave things just kind of like on the needles for a long time, so I do feel like I'll probably finish it up pretty soon. I don't know, have kind of let it go to the wayside. But I don't remember what size I'm knitting also, because I started this weeks ago and then I completely forgot about it. I think I'm knitting the smallest size. I have a really small head, so that would make sense. I believe I'm knitting the smallest size The colorways for this is Elder, and the colorway is Forget Me Not. And then this is Drops Alpaca Silk, and I don't remember the color. It's, you know, light blue or something like that. I don't remember what exactly it is. That was a complete guess. I don't actually know. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I will try to look it up. Do I have the tag in here? I feel bad saying the wrong thing, so I want to look and see. No, I don't. I don't have the tag. I will look it up, and I will probably have already put it on the screen properly, or maybe I didn't, and that's fine too. But I'm really into blue right now. I had been doing like a really big dark blue, like dark teal phase, but I also am really feeling light blue as well. So, and I think that this would be really good with like my hair color. So I have like really dark hair. I thought the light blue would be cute. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be cute, and hopefully I will finish it eventually. Okay, now, 2 projects that I have been working on almost exclusively for the last month, 3 weeks, roughly. I have, which one should I share first? Let's first share this. So I cast on a while ago. I don't think I shared this in the last episode because I don't think I had cast it on yet, but again, I don't remember. So I cast on, those of you that have watched the podcast before probably remember me at some points talking about how I am knitting the dad sweater. I have already knit one for myself, of course, and I knit one for my dad, but I'm also planning to knit them for the rest of my immediate family. So I'm planning to knit them for my mom, brother, and sister. I finished my mom's and I gave it to her for her birthday, which was in March, and that was just such a delight. And it fit her so well, and she seemed to really love it, and that made me really happy. So I finished my mom's, I gave it to her, and my hope was to make them and give them to my family members on their birthdays. So my brother's birthday is up next. His birthday is in mid-May, and so I cast on his dad sweater, and I'm hoping to finish it and get it sent off to him so that he can have it on his birthday. So for mine and my dad's, I used Aimée Corrie worsted, and I will be using that yarn for my sister as well. But my mom and my brother didn't want something that had that kind of little bit of like an itch. I personally, wool does not irritate me at all. So I don't have an issue with this yarn at all, but some people who are a little bit sensitive to it, not even sensitive, I think like most people probably would recognize that this wool has like a little bit of an itch factor. It's still soft. I wouldn't say that it's like rough, but the Corrie worsted does, like if it's next to your skin, I think it does have like a little bit of an itch. I personally love it. My dad and my sister were also game. My mom and my brother wanted something that wasn't going to have that itch factor, and so the perfect yarn I thought to use would be Natura Gilliatt, which is a 100% merino wool. It's a non-superwash, so it still has a little bit of that like toughness that you would want for a garment that you want to last a really long time, but it doesn't have that itch factor at all. And it's one that really softens over time with wear, and so my hope is that these sweaters will be pieces that exist in their wardrobes for a really long time, and so over time I think the Gilliatt is just going to wear exceptionally well. So I knit my mom's in Gilliatt. It's a worsted weight. I think I said that already, but I am also doing my brother's in Gilliatt, and so they picked their own colors. I wanted to make sure if I'm going to spend the time and effort to knit you a sweater, I want to make sure that you love it and you love the color and everything. So I let them pick, and my brother picked Cypres, which if you're looking at this color, you might think, Emily, that looks really familiar. Where have I seen that color before? And you would be right. The answer is that I literally just knit a sweater with this yarn, basically. So my brother has lovely color choices that are near and dear to my own heart. I knit the Port sweater by Ozetta, and I used Ulysse, actually, which is the sport weight version of this yarn, essentially, in the colorway Cypres. I did hold it with a hand-dyed Surrey alpaca as well of a similar color, but the essential idea is I basically knit a sweater for myself in this yarn, in this color. But yeah, I'm knitting my brother's dad sweater, and this is the progress that I have so far. I finished the front and back, and then I did join at the underarm. I've done, I don't know, what does this look like? 3 inches maybe from the underarm, and I need to do about 13. I do have this really fun progress keeper that I got from Hello Lavender's most recent update. I love her like affirmations, and I had to get this one. It says, I am learning, which I just love so much, and I feel like is my energy. So anyway, I have this one. This is the progress I have made on it. The color is lovely. I love this yarn. If y'all remember when I was knitting my mom's sweater, I also used Gilliatt. And while Corrie worsted is called Corrie worsted, I think it is much closer to a DK weight yarn than a worsted weight yarn. And so I had a lot of trouble getting gauge with this worsted weight yarn, getting the same gauge that I got with the Corrie worsted, which is more like a DK. And so I ended up, I didn't want the fabric to just be like way too dense. So what I ended up doing actually is I am knitting one size smaller. So I did that for my mom's sweater. I'm doing this for my brother's as well. I'm knitting one size smaller than I otherwise would, and my gauge is actually off the perfect amount to give me the exact measurements of one size up from whatever I knit. So for my brother, I need to knit him a size 2 broad shoulder. Roughly, his shoulders are actually a little bit broader than that. So I did give a couple stitches extra to the shoulder just to make it a little bit broader for him. But I want a size 2, so I'm actually knitting a size 1 broad shoulder. And I checked my gauge again, and it seems like everything is working out. So, and then I'm doing this, I believe, on a US size 5 needle, and the pattern also calls for a US size 6. So it's definitely a denser fabric than the original. This one has like a little bit more drape, and this one is going to be a little bit denser, but I still think it'll be a really nice fabric. And what else do I need to tell you about that? I don't know. I really need to get going on it. I know this looks like a lot of progress, but this has been over like weeks. And most of the reason I don't have more progress is because I have been spending pretty much all of my knitting energy on my other whip, my last work in progress that I will show you now. So I am doing another matching knit with my friend Maya, and we decided to knit Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. And it's actually, she's doing her like March to May knit along right now, I realized. And so this is kind of like it's for that knit along as well. But Vellichor is a really fun like t-shirt that uses mosaic knitting to create kind of like almost like a grid effect with a main color and a contrast color. And one of Andrea's samples, she used Spincycle for the contrast color so that you have like the slow color change in the background kind of the tee, and Maya and I wanted to do that as well. So we picked out some Spincycle, and here it is. It's it's basically almost done, which is wild for me to be like, here's a new project that you'll haven't ever seen before, and it's almost done. But it's just because I haven't recorded in so long. It's not because I'm actually that fast, but here it is. I actually had a lot of consternation, I guess I would say, about what to use as my main color. I originally had planned, so the Spincycle is, I have a little bit of it here, I can show you. Just this gorgeous color. It's called Shades of Earth, and it has these beautiful like blue, teal, mustard. It has some brown and purple in it as well. It's just really, really beautiful. So I had 2 skeins of this. This is the Spincycle dyed in the wool. And I had originally planned to use it with, so this is a sport weight yarn. I had a couple of skeins in 2 colors of the Herba base from Ovis, etc. I feel like I have fuzz on my lips. sorry. So I had 2 skeins in this color, which is called Favorite Jeans, and then I also had 2 skeins in a mustardy color. It's like a yellowy orange. And that color is called Curry. And when I bought the Spincycle, my original plan was to do the Curry with it, the yellowy orange color with it. And I was already, Maya and I had plans to get together and do our cast on together. And the night before I was winding up my yarn and I wound up the first skein of the yellow, and I just, for some reason, my mind was like, what about the blue though? And I think part of the reason that I second guessed the yellow is I thought that the yellow with this would just be really high contrast, that it would maybe be like really loud and maybe too much. Like I was worried it wouldn't be as wearable for me as if I did the blue with it. And like, that's not to say that the yellow itself or the mustard itself isn't wearable for me, because I love mustard and I find yellow and mustard to be really wearable for me. I love to wear yellow. So I don't think it was that. I think it was just the combination of that with this and all of the bright teals and the blues. It just felt like it was a lot and maybe a little bit too loud. And it also felt like there were some like pure kind of mustard bits in here that I was worried would get a little bit lost with that as the main color. Whereas this blue, I think it complements a lot of the colors in the Spincycle, but it's not a perfect match. And so I thought it would be a really good main color and contrast color. So anyway, I was going back and forth and I had a lot of trouble deciding, and I put a poll on Instagram, and I'm realizing now that I never shared the results of that poll. And like, also, I don't think I ever told Instagram what I picked. And I don't think I've shown any like progress pictures of this. So I guess I've just ghosted everyone and have just buried the lead here. But I picked the blue. I did pick Favorite Jeans. What it came down to is I just thought that I thought personally I would be more likely to wear this garment if I did the blue. So that's what I went with. And I'm excited about the idea of doing a project with the yellow by itself. I think that would be really wearable for me, is if I did like a basic t-shirt or something with just the curry color. So that's my plan. And I cast on, and oh boy, was the cast on a journey for me. I don't even remember, because it was weeks ago, I don't even remember all the turmoils, but essentially I ended up casting on and messing up like 4 times for this project. Like, Maya and I had gotten together to do the cast on together, and by the time she left, like by the time we said our goodbyes, I still did not have the project properly cast on, because I'd cast it on and messed up and cast it on. I had issues where like it was a long tail cast on, and so my tail wasn't long enough, and that happened like multiple times. And then I also had an issue where like I messed up the stitch pattern, and so I had to like rip back, and then I ended up like after 2 rows somehow it was twisted and I had a Mobius, which like rookie mistake, Emily. Like, I don't know, I was so frustrated, I felt so incompetent, and that was just, like, such a low for me. Clearly, I can do this, but I was just, I don't know, it's hard for me too. I think I have a little bit of trouble when I'm, like, chit-chatting with someone else, and I'm trying to do the cast on and stuff as well. I think I'm more likely to make mistakes that way, and so I think it was that, and I was tired, and anyway. I had a lot of trouble casting this on, but I did eventually get going, and I feel like I just haven't stopped ever since. This feels like it's been flying off my needles. I guess we cast on April 1st, and today is April 19th. So it's been not even 3 weeks, and I'm basically done with it. I mean, I think I have maybe like 1 to 2 more good days of knitting on it, and then I will be done. Which I'm really pumped about. So, and I think it's going to be really fun to wear in the spring and the summer. And let me give you all a close-up so that you can see what the stitch pattern looks like and what it looks like with the main and the contrast color. But here it is. My Spincycle definitely started in like a yellowy orangey brown, and then went into like this blue section. And then you can see I went in the round for a while. It's bottom up, and then I've done the whole front. So this is the whole front of it. So I got into this like kind of purpley section at the end. And then I have started the back as well. So you can see that's where my like side split is. And I've started the back, and so I just need to finish the back. And then once I finish the back, there are like little tiny sleeves. It's like you pick up around the armholes and do like an inch of ribbing and bind off, and that's pretty much it. So once I finish the back, I'm basically done, just like little tiny sleeves, and then that's it. So it's been cruising. It's mosaic knitting, like I think I mentioned. Which is color work, but you don't have to do 2 strands at the same time. It's just 1 strand at the same time, and you do slip stitches to kind of carry up the main color through these like columns. And it feels like a really good and meditative pattern. Like I've really enjoyed getting into a rhythm with it, I think. And watching the color shift over time. Like I am a huge stripe lover. I love knitting stripes. I love wearing stripes. And I think there's something about stripes that makes the knitting go by really quickly, and it's really engaging. So I often would find myself like knitting it and just like, okay, I just want to do one more stripe, or like I really want to get through this brown section and I really want to get to the next color, or, you know. And I think that has made the knit go by really quickly, and it's been really fun and engaging. So yeah, that is Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. I am knitting the size 1, and I knew that my gauge was likely to be a little bit off. The pattern calls for a US size 3 needle, I believe, and I didn't want to go down to a needle size smaller than that. I really wanted to knit it on a US 3. So I ended up at my intended, like the resulting size that I wanted was kind of in between sizes 1 and 2, and so I ended up just casting on size 1, knowing that with my gauge being a little bit off, it would be a touch bigger. And I think that I'm going to end up with the garment being like exactly the right size. There's a lot of wiggle room for this one too, because I believe her recommended ease is something like 12 to 14 inches or something like that. Like it is intended to be worn like really loosely with like lots of ease, and I think I will definitely have that. I think I'm going to have like the body circumference is going to be like 40 plus inches, and my bust circumference is like 32. So I think it will be, yeah, it'll be a really good size, and I'm excited to have it done. So yeah, that is my Vellichor, and that's pretty much it for what I've been knitting on. I mean, you can probably tell that this has been a lot of my knitting. I have also been working on my brother's sweater quite a bit, but otherwise I haven't really worked on much. I guess during this time period, I also did a lot of knitting on the color tip tee. I guess that's true as well. Like I finished that sample, and I did actually, I have knit, I think at this point, like 4 different sleeves for this. So I have knit and re-knit the sleeves so many times, and I'm still not done. I still have one more sleeve to knit, but I think, I don't know, it's really important to me that we get it right. And I want the sleeves to be right and work for my testers, but also for folks that purchase the pattern once the release happens. So really excited about getting that right. It feels like this last version of it, we really nailed it. So yeah, that is what I've been knitting on, and that's pretty much it. I don't really have any acquisitions. I haven't really been buying yarn much. I do have some plans to buy yarn in the future. I have a couple of pre-orders that I have my eye on, so we'll see what I end up purchasing from those in the coming days. But I have some spinning that I want to share, and I'm going to take another sip of water here. Okay, let me check this really quick. Okay, I have some spinning that I want to share. So I had an issue with my wheel, and I don't remember if I talked about this at all. I don't think I did, because I don't think I was having this issue when I last recorded. I was having an issue where I don't know how far back to go, but I have a shocked ladybug wheel, which I really, really love. I've had for, I guess, over a month now. I've had it for when did I buy it? I guess almost 2 months now, or I've had it for over 2 months. But anyway, I have a Shocked Ladybug, which is a double treadle wheel, and I have just loved getting started spinning on it. I started to have an issue, I guess it was probably over a month ago now, about a month ago. I started having an issue where whenever I was treadling, I could hear this like thumping noise, and it felt like my drive wheel was just like skipping at one part of its cycle. It was just like kind of jumping ahead. At one point there was like almost a gap in the cycle. It wasn't completely smooth, and so when I was treadling it was making like a thumping noise every rotation, which I don't know that it really affected my spinning or my yarn that much, but it was really irritating to me and I had a lot of trouble. You know, I really want spinning to be like a soothing thing for me, and it wasn't really because of the thumping. Anyway, so it was hard for me to spin with that, and so I ended up calling Shocked and their customer support folks, and they were really exceptional and helped me a lot to figure out what was wrong with my wheel and how to fix it. At first we tried, like, there was a specific screw that we tried tightening and that did not work, and so they ended up actually sending me another drive wheel to replace. And I was a little nervous because I did not actually assemble my wheel. I bought it from the folks at Northwest Yarns and they assembled it for me, so I was not experienced or super comfortable taking the pieces apart, but Cindy at Shocked sent me the instructions and wanted to make sure that I was comfortable, and I decided to go ahead and go for it. Luckily, the new drive wheel actually arrived when my grandparents were visiting, and my grandpa is super handy with these kinds of things and also super strong, which ended up being really useful here. I'm also just like exceptionally weak, so it's hard for me to do anything that requires like any kind of strength. But we had like a screw in there that was really tough to get off and back on, and my grandpa was able to help me get the wheel disassembled and put back together, and once we got it put back together, it is perfect. It's spinning perfectly again, and I was really bummed to miss out on like several weeks of spinning, but now that it's back, I couldn't be happier to be spinning again. And first thing, I spun up some little bits from my Hello Yarn like mystery pack. So I think I shared about this on the podcast in the past, but Maya and I got a couple of these I think they're called patchwork kits from Hello Yarn, but it is basically just a bag of a pound of fiber, and it's all beautiful hand-dyed fiber, and it's all in these like little bits that are a complete mystery as to like what fiber it is. We bought them, like, she took pictures of the bags, and so we knew like roughly the colors that we were getting, but we didn't know what type of fiber or anything, and so of course when we got it, they were just beautiful, like absolutely stunning hand-dyed fiber, really, really beautiful. And Maya and I each bought one of these, and then we did some like swapping and mix and match to get some of our colors into like groups that went really well together. And I ended up with some leftover little bits that didn't really go with anything. And so I decided, while I was kind of getting back into it, that I wanted to just spin up a couple of those. And then I also had some leftover cream merino that I had spun for my gray and white marl, which I think I have here. I think I've showed on the podcast before. This yarn that I spun, which is the gray is a BFL and the cream is a merino. So I had tons, and I still have tons of the cream left over. I think I spun it really finely, and so it ended up going a really long way. So I have a ton of that merino left over. So I decided I was just gonna spin up some of these mystery hand-dyed bits, and then I was just gonna apply them with some leftover of the cream merino. And I did that, and this is the result. Let me give y'all a close-up of it because I love it. I think it's just so much fun and it's so beautiful. Again, I have no idea what fiber this is. I know that the cream is Merino, but I don't know about the rest of it. But I just loved these colors. I loved them together and I thought it was just really, really fun. So yeah, and like, I think I'm getting a lot better. I don't know, this feels like this is legitimately yarn. Like this looks good to me. So I had originally planned with this hand spun to hold it with like a fluffy alpaca yarn and knit a hat, but I started to cast that on and I realized that the hand spun yarn was really lost in that the fluffy yarn I had chosen was really thick and ended up just really hiding the hand spun. And so I thought this would be a perfect pair and maybe I could use these together in a project. And I'm thinking about just doing another Harlow hat, which is a basic 2-color brioche like beanie. And I think doing these two would be really fun. And I'm imagining like it being really fun and reversible. I would have like a really fun colorful side, but I would also have a great like gray neutral side as well with just like the colorful bits kind of peeking through. Norman, what are you doing? You're supposed to not be in the kitchen. Okay. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna cast that on. I kind of want to finish the Cheslie toque first. And then, did you see how casually I said that? And I'm pretty sure I said it right as well. I know I am making it not as cool now because I'm talking about it, but I was proud of that. But yes, after I finish that, I will hopefully cast this on. So that is my finished spinning project. And then I started my next spinning project. I am working on a sock spin with some fiber also from Hello Yarn. And I can show you, this one I do know the fiber content. It is Cheviot. I don't know if that's how you say it, Cheviot. And here's the little bag so you can see the label. The colorway name is Seagrass. And I think I showed the fiber on the podcast in the past, but I got started spinning it. So for this one, I'm doing my first 3-ply. I've only done 2-plies before, but I wanted to do a 3-ply because I really want to spin this for a sock yarn. And for socks, I thought that a 3-ply would be a little bit sturdier and would just hold up a little bit better to wear if I'm able to spin a 3-ply fine enough. So with my last couple of projects, I got a lot more practice spinning really like thin, really fine fiber. And now I felt like I was ready to try to do a 3-ply. And my goal is for the 3-ply to be at kind of like a sport weight. Or like a fingering weight would be great, but I think that might be a little bit hard to do for me at a 3-ply. So since I'm gonna do a 3-ply, I decided I wanted to do a fractal. And this is again getting into the area where I am so new to this and I don't feel super comfortable being like an educator on spinning stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about spinning and about some of the terminology that I'm using, you should definitely check out some of the resources that I talked about, I think in my previous episode or maybe 2 episodes ago. But a fractal, I'll say like at a very high level, is basically you take your fiber and you split it into different pieces, and then you split each of those into a different number of pieces so that your color repeats are like slower in 1-ply and then a little bit faster in the 1-ply and then even faster in another ply. So what I decided to do for this spin is to do a 1-2-4 fractal, which means that I split my fiber into 3 pieces, and then one of those pieces I just left as it is, and I'm just going to spin as it is. One of those pieces I split it into another 2 pieces, so I split it in half. That's the 2, and then I'll spin those end to end, so the color changes will go a little bit faster. And then the third piece I split into 4 pieces, and that one I spin each of those end to end so that one, the color changes will happen the fastest. I don't know if this makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't, and I probably didn't explain it super well, but the essential idea is I'm doing a fractal. I'm doing a 1-2-4 fractal for a 3-ply yarn, and I have prepped my yarn, and I have started spinning it. So I have my yarn in my 3 kind of bundles. I haven't split, I guess I haven't completely prepped my yarn yet, but I have 1, 2, and then my 3rd one, I'm almost done spinning actually. And this is the 4 of my 3-ply, and I just left it on the flyer. But this is what it's looking like. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of getting it pretty thin. I don't have as many of those little like pigtails or curly cues. It's not the most consistent, I would say. Like, I'm getting better at spinning really thin, but there are definitely still like thinner and thicker spots. And I know I'm not quite ready yet, I don't think, to do like a control card and spin with a control card, but maybe for my next project, I think that would really help me be more consistent. But for this one, I just kind of wanted to go for it and see how it went. So yeah, I did that. And this is all I have left to spin. This is for my last 4th of my 4-part of my fractal spin. I don't know if I'm really using the right terminology there, but you can see here like how much thinner this is than like normally the fiber comes in, and that's because I've like split it a ton of times. So yeah, and I'm really loving how the colors are coming together. This like bluey green, like light blue, kind of sea green. I'm getting spinning wheel grease all over me, but like this color here I really, really love, the like bluish green color, and I think with the yellowy gold is really, really pretty. And so I think it's gonna make a really beautiful yarn, and I can't wait to finish it and then knit socks with it. I think it's gonna be so fun. So, oh no, that's not my I also have this part to spin too, so I'm not quite as close to done with that part of my fractal as I thought, but that's okay. So yeah, that's pretty much my spinning. I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. I have lots of fiber that I have plans for, but I think I've talked about a lot of that before, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again once I get started spinning it. But I'm trying to just do a little bit of spinning each day, and I think I'm getting faster and better at it. And it's been really, really like relaxing and enjoyable for me. I think I'm to the point now where it's not like I'm not so tense that I can only do it for like 20 or 30 minutes. Like I'm able to spin for longer now, and I'm able to relax a lot more while I'm spinning too. So, and I'm really happy with the yarn that I'm making. I feel like I've improved a lot, I think, and I'm happy about that. So that is my spinning. And that's pretty much it for the crafting stuff. I don't know, I don't feel like I have a ton else to talk about. I mentioned that we've had a lot of visitors. My parents came, and then my grandparents came, and while my grandparents were here, we went up north to the Tulip Festival in like Mount Vernon, and then we also went and saw the cherry blossoms at UW, and that was really beautiful. And yeah, I'm just really, really looking forward to spring. Speaking of like spring and summer and warmer weather, if you are in the Seattle area or you're willing to travel to the Seattle area, Flock Fiber Festival is happening, and that is the fiber festival that the La Mercerie team is putting together. It is happening in early August of this year, and the tickets did go on sale for Flock. So if you're interested, make sure that you go to the website and take a look and purchase your tickets. I've been watching knitting podcasts for sure as I sit and knit and work on patterns and stuff. And I feel like I haven't shared a ton recently. I think I used to a little bit more. I used to share more of the like video podcasts and stuff that I was watching, but I wanted to share a couple that you all might love as well. The podcast that I have been binge watching to catch up on is the Arieknits podcast that Ariel puts together, and Ariel is just the sweetest and best human ever, and also knits like crazy. Like, it's unbelievable how much she knits and how much she's able to finish. And all of her projects are just beautiful. She's also local to Seattle, and has been coming to our knit group, and it's just delightful. And I want to make like half of the things that she makes. So definitely check out Ariel, and I will like link her YouTube below. You can also like follow her on Instagram. Other one that I've been catching up on a lot, and I know I've been watching this one for a while and I haven't talked about, I don't think I've mentioned it or talked about it before, but Casey from the Youngfolk Knits. She has, she does a couple of different types of videos as well. It's not just like always the same format. And I really love that. Like, I love the variety as well. And her editing is really gorgeous. And I love her color sense. She also spins as well. So Casey at Youngfolk Knits, if you haven't checked her out, you should definitely go and watch her videos. And I just saw this last week, she announced that she and her friend are going to be putting together an audio podcast, and I think the first couple episodes of that are out as well, and so I definitely am going to check that out. That'll be perfect for me when I'm commuting, when I'm on the ferry. I would love to listen along, so I haven't listened to that yet, but definitely check it out if you're interested. Yeah, so that's some of the stuff I've been watching. I have some other video podcast that I'm planning to check out as well. Just, I love to sit and knit and like listen to other people talk about their knitting. I just really love that. So if y'all have any other recommendations for great yarn and knitting video podcasts, or especially like if any of y'all are spinners, I'd love to find out more about spinning by watching like spinning podcasters as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I've been working on and what we've been up to. I don't know. I don't feel like I have a ton else to share. Baseball season started, and Ovis and I went to opening day, and we also went to another game, and then the Cardinals are coming. So I feel like I assume all the time that everyone knows everything about me and my past and and my sports team preferences and things, but that's probably not the case, so I should probably explain that more. I worked for the Seattle Mariners for several years, and we live in Seattle, so when we go to the game, we go to see Mariners games. But I also, when I was a kid, I grew up a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and the Cardinals are actually coming to town to play the Mariners this upcoming week, so I will be going to a couple of those games, which I'm really excited about as well. Unfortunately, my husband is going to be out of town, so he won't get to come with me, but that's okay. And yeah, otherwise I've just been knitting and working on pattern stuff, honestly, and hanging out with visitors. So I'm really looking forward to finishing a couple of these projects and starting to cast on new stuff. And hopefully I'll be back to chat with y'all again in another couple of weeks. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you do lots of knitting and watch lots of baseball, and have a great week. Bye.